give you all some directions on how to complete this activity. Now, it's really important that the formatting is correct because, of course, we actually wrote some scripting behind the scenes in order to check it. So the first thing it asks, we're looking at factoring rational functions and then graphing them. So when I factor my function and I'm putting it in factor form, what I actually want is it to have all of the factors. Don't simplify it out. Okay. Also, try not to put any extra parentheses that you don't actually need into it. So, like your denominator here wouldn't have an extra set of parentheses. That won't check, and it'll say that it's wrong. Okay. So, x values of wholes. Now, wholes are where I have the same factor in both the numerator and the denominator, and when that factor is equal to 0, so the x value, so that would be -1. Okay, and notice what I'm writing is just the x value. Of course, that's all this one is. Now, the vertical asymptote is x is equal to -3. Okay, and we know we have a vertical asymptote because it is any factor when it's equal to 0 and it's only in the denominator. Okay, it's not in both the denominator and the numerator. My horizontal asymptotes is y is equal to 1. Okay, oops. Okay, let's type that in the correct place. So this is my equation that I'm writing, and this is, since my exponents are the same, my greatest exponent is the same value, top and bottom, it's a squared. What I do is I take the ratio of the coefficients. Well, the coefficient of the numerator is 1, and of the denominator is 1, so 1 over 1 is 1. So my horizontal asymptote is 1. Now the x values of my 0 or zeros, okay, this is where y is equal to 0. So I have to think through when y is equal to 0, what do these factors have to be? Well, I would say, well, when this first factor is 0 and when the second factor is 0 in the numerator. But the thing is, for x plus 1, when x is equal to -1, that makes it undefined. So your zeros are your factors only in the numerator when they are equal to 0. And so in that case, this is -2. And so you write it just as the value, right? Not as the point. Okay. And then just your y value of the y-intercept. Okay. So what you do here is you plug in x is equal to 0 into your equation. And in this case, you're going to get 2/3. Okay, so now you can check it by clicking check, and I haven't scripted this to check it, but everywhere you get it correct, you'll get a little check mark, and you can update your answer until you get it correct. So let's quickly review that. So what we have is, first, we write the function in factored form, do not simplify it, okay? Then you write the x value of the wholes, but only the x value, not the point. Vertical and horizontal asymptotes, write the equation, x equals and y equals. And then you write the x value of the 0 and the y value of the y-intercept, not the points. Okay, and so notice I didn't graph any of this. I went based off of simply the equation that I was given. Now I can, of course, check it, and let's see. I think you guys can see that okay. You can see that your horizontal and vertical asymptotes check. And then I'm going to quickly go back, and my hole was at -1. So let's see, something. So if you go to x, where x is -1, because it's the x value, you see that it's undefined right there. Okay, so you can definitely use this to check it, but I'd like for you to practice doing this with just the equation. Now let's look at when we're given the graph. Okay, now let's take a look at identifying the characteristics of a graph. And you all actually will not need to write an equation from a graph, but you do need to identify the different qualities of it. So the vertical asymptote, I look at that and I see that I've got a vertical asymptote at x is equal to 1. And then I see that I have a horizontal asymptote at y is equal to 2. Okay, right? So I can mouse over that. So x is equal to 1 is my vertical, y is equal to 2 is my horizontal. Okay, then I see that there is a hole and it is located at negative 4, 1. And since I'm only putting in the x value, I just put in negative 4. Now the x-intercept, I look at that and that occurs at x is equal to negative 1.5. So I just put in negative 1.5, right? Because it's just the x value. This is important. Okay, the y-intercept, just the y value of the y-intercept is, goodness, up negative 3. Okay, so now the domain. So the format for the domain and the range, it's pretty important that you get that correct. Okay, so it's going to look like this. Now, you may need to use a not equal sign, a less than and equals, or a greater than or equals to. Okay, those you don't have on your keyboard. So I put them up here so you can copy paste them. So I need a not equals. But if you need just a greater than, that's on your keyboard. Excuse me. So you can grab that there. Okay, so for my domain is all real numbers, except for where x is equal to 1, right? That's my asymptote. And x is equal to negative 4. Excuse me, I mistyped. Right, and that's where the hole is. Okay, so this function doesn't exist at those x values. Now my y values, okay, my range is all real numbers except for where y is not equal. So I'm going to go up and grab that not equal symbol, Control C, Control V, paste it in. And so where it is not equal to 2, right? That was my horizontal asymptote. So please make sure you don't put in extra spaces. Don't put in points where you should just put in values. Make sure put in equations where you should put equations. Okay, I hope that helps you all get all the questions right on this activity.